For those who are just starting, how can you make sure your content stands out in an oversaturated, quote unquote, market?
I think the way you're gonna make it stand out first is stop thinking it's oversaturated. You're unique. Watch what people are doing. Look at what stands out for, like what goes viral. Obviously, you have to be a bit of a student first, right? Study what's happening and just make it unique by separating yourself with the things that you feel you bring to the table.
Welcome to the final episode of More Than That Season 5. It went by so fast, but we're ending the season off on a high with food content creator Andrew Bernard to talk about using the kitchen as a space for reinvention. And we want to thank the Kroger family of stores for sponsoring this episode. Head to Kroger.com to shop and save on high quality groceries at low prices. Hey y'all, it's your girl Gia Peppers. This season has been guided by the pillars that sustain us no matter what. And now we're closing it out with community, leaning into the power of building platforms and creating spaces together. We're reimagining one of the most sacred and evolving spaces in our homes, the kitchen. For many of us, it's long been a source of tradition. Now it's where budgeting meets beauty and leftovers carry legacy. We're continuing our food journey in the kitchen with plant-based chef, content creator, and visual designer Andrew the Nard Dog Bernard. His viral recipes have racked up millions of views, and he's built a brand with his family and community in mind. In this episode, we're diving into the tips, tricks, and strategy around the business of content creation and what it takes to build a brand this size, showing how the kitchen can be a sanctuary and a storytelling studio, all while staying budget-friendly and rooted in culture. Welcome, Andrew!
Thank you for having me.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling good.
This whole fit, the vibe, the beard is giving me so much joy right now.
Okay.
So thank you for bringing the fashions.
You got it. Sending you the energy.
Thank you. I am so honored to have you. And I've seen your content. You're always viral. And what I love is that you're able to bring that same calm energy to everything you do. I always feel like I'm in your kitchen with you, but I also feel calm. And in a world where things are overwhelming and loud, you have a beautiful presence online.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
I do my best.
You do well.
Yeah.
You're doing well.
Yeah.
But I want to get into this right away because you have such a wealth of knowledge and food and family, community, and building this amazing brand. So, but before the chef, the designer, and the content creator, who was Andrew Bernard?
So before I was who I am today, let's see. I was a kid from Camden, New Jersey. Neighborhood was, fairly dangerous, and pretty much I just wanted to do the best that I could in order to help my family out of the situation we were in, I should say. My family is Jamaican, so Caribbean household, really tough parents. I lived in a row home, and most of the house was the kitchen.
Wow.
That was the domain where the phone was, where the food was, where the play was. So we were pretty stacked in there, and we pretty much hung out in the kitchen and did everything that you could think of in there. I would listen to my mom cook, and I think what I took away from that when she cooked wasn't just the aromas or the feelings. I actually started taking away the sounds. I would drum and things on our kitchen table, just the beats that I would hear from the stove turning on and that click click click, or things hitting the pan, or the scrapes that you would hear from folding the food or something like that.
When did cooking and creating food, content, storytelling, but how did cooking come into your story?
My wife started blogging, and she had some photos she was showing me in terms of the blog post she was writing. And I was trying to figure out, how do I break it down to her that we could do better without saying I could help. But I think she was feeling it, and she was like, well, why won't you do it? And I was like, all right, challenge accepted.
Right.
I started helping her cook, helping her take pictures, and just became a lifestyle.
And I love that you and your wife both make content in the kitchen, but it started with Make It Dairy Free. So I want to take it back to that. What was your intention behind Make It Dairy Free in that starting moment?
When we were having our first child, she started to quit certain foods that would affect her when breastfeeding. Dairy was one of those foods, and I, kicking and screaming, didn't necessarily want to join in, but if I wanted a meal that day, then I had to tough it out.
Exactly.
So I did that, and as we started looking at moving a website that we had, which was called Where Parents, where we talked about a lot of parenting things as we were first-time parents, trying to help people figure it out that way. We realized we liked the food part of it more than we liked anything about car seats or, where playgrounds were or anything in that nature. We, started talking and saying, like, why won't we create a new site, something that's surrounded in a way of like relieving dairy from food and allowing folks that are going through similar situations to us, a place to find solace and calm and energy through having their answers without having to search very far.
That's the important part. The community is built. And shout out to your wife. You've mentioned her several times. We're going to give her props.
Yes.
For both of y'all being able to do this beautifully.
And women are power. And without them, we wouldn't be very far, I'll be honest.
Clock it, everyone. Thank you. Clock it. Okay, so and now you're working together and you've built this beautiful empire. But I also loved how you talked about the sounds of the kitchen. So I want to get into a little bit of this content life that you've built, because millions of views later, you are the guy that people go to for certain recipes and certain moments. What does it feel like to be you right now in the middle of accomplishing so much? Like, what is it like to be you?
I try to keep myself grounded in the fact that, I don't know if I deserve this, but I'm really happy it's here. And I just try to find gratitude every day with the fact that I'm doing something to support people. When I was younger, I thought I was going to be like a scientist, then later a doctor, and then later an engineer. And at the bottom of it all, I really just wanted to find myself helping people in some way. And I think this was just a way to get back to that.
So much can be found in the kitchen: creativity, routine, culture, legacy, and good food. The kitchen has been a gathering place, a sanctuary, a strategy room, and a storytelling studio for reshaping how we nourish our lives, feed our families, and grow our wealth. That requires quality food at low prices, and there's no better place to get that than Kroger. From family dinners to quick eats, you can find low-priced, high-quality groceries and fresh food or your money back. Start shopping and saving today at Kroger.com. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Now, I want to talk to you about the business of being a content creator, because not easy. So talk to me a little bit about like the day-to-day process.
So kind of gave up a 9 to 5 to do more like a 9 to 9 at this point. And I'm okay with that. But my day-to-day is basically, Mondays for the most part, I'm testing recipes, trying to figure out, what might be not only like eye-opening, but how can I bring something different to the table that's already not already out there, right? Like in food creation, I feel like there's often just repeats or flips of somebody else's dish, and I often try to set the bar a little higher if I can. And then there's a lot of filming between Tuesday and Thursday, and then my Fridays and Saturdays is the editing process. Wow. So a lot of hats being worn in between there, because I don't have, a sound guy, or, I don't have, someone who does the mic. Yeah. I don't have all of that. So that's really me throughout the whole process.
So you set up the camera, the lighting, the sound, the visual aspects.
Anything you about the name, I do it. Wow. Yes. And my wife is the powerhouse and more of the website backend portion of it. She helps bring the dream to the internet, you know? So that's, that job is huge. And that's really how I even, you know, I'm able to be here with you today.
Now, when you think about selecting food, how do you ensure it's both aesthetically pleasing and nutritious? Like, I feel like my food never looks that pretty. And
Yeah.
be like looking so pretty.
Oh,
so like,
my gosh. No.
What's the balance there?
I go with nutrition first.
Okay.
The aesthetics it really goes with that beauty is in the eye of the beholder kind of mentality, right? I use it like a puzzle. Like, how do I work it now to look fancy, magazine ready, so someone would get appealed by looking at it? So since I do plant-based content, I typically think about protein first, because that's how most of America thinks. And so I always think that first. And then once I figure out my protein, then I start to build. Start to layer on. So it could be soy, which comes in a bunch of different ways. It could be tempeh, it could be tofu, it could be edamame, or it could be like beans in general. I like to explore. So I'm in other cultures trying to learn, you know, what they do, why they do it, why is this dish important, what are some of their, you know, undertones for spices, because I find if community is only here, then you're missing a whole lot. There's a whole world out there.
For people who may be trying to start the vegan lifestyle journey and they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
If it was a grocery store run, what would you tell them are just a couple of things they should have to keep in their kitchen?
Find a meal that's nothing but plants that you feel like would be something you'd like to try. Doesn't have to be the perfect meal and have all the components, but just something you're like, you know what, I'll try that. Before we became vegan, we actually budgeted by making a vegan meal like every Monday. And then after a few months, we went to 2 days vegan, because plants, anything in the produce aisle costs so much less than anything anywhere else.
What's a holiday memory that reminds you of how powerful the kitchen can be?
I've never tasted a sweet potato pie until I was like in my 20s somewhere, and I just really wanted to taste one. So I tried my hand at making a sweet potato pie. This was for, you know, the November gathering. Didn't tell anybody I brought it or anything. And so, you know, fast forward a little later in the day, there's football on and stuff like that. And there's like a yelp, almost like someone stepped on a dog's foot, like, and it went off really sharp in the background. And we all turned and looked. It's my mom, and she's almost like Holy Ghost, just standing there celebrating the fact that whatever she had in her hand, she was excited about. So then she was like, who made this? And, you know, the house is quiet. And I'm like, looking around, see if anybody gonna claim it. But so I did. And she basically told me not to come back to another Thanksgiving without that pie at that point. So
Why'd you hit it out the park the first time?
Yeah. I was like, yo, this is crazy. So yeah. And I mentioned earlier, I got Caribbean parents. So they are tough to please sometimes. And yeah.
I've heard you say a couple times that growing up in the kitchen is a place where you can make money and support your family. So what made you say, we're really going to take this seriously, we're really going to take this to the next level and start our story here?
I think it was when we started realizing we were impacting people, being that we had that and this was kind of just something fun. You know, at that point I was like, yeah, it's kind of cool. It's a nice way to fulfill the artistic need, the expression. And then we started seeing how we were impacting people, and it was like, this could be a thing for us.
You start where you want to start.
Yep.
And you keep building until it grows and does it. For those who are just starting, how can you make sure your content stands out in an oversaturated, quote unquote, market?
I think the way you're gonna make it stand out first is stop thinking it's oversaturated.
Ooh, there you go.
That's where I think you start. You're unique. Everyone is, right? And really it's about figuring out what you feel you can bring to the table, and then finding out a way to do that. Watch what people are doing. Look at what stands out for, like, what goes viral. Obviously, you have to be a bit of a student first.
Yeah.
Study what's happening and just make it unique by separating yourself with the things that you feel you bring to the table.
Talk to me about the reciprocity that comes in community building and how it served you as you continue to grow your lifestyle.
I couldn't really put my finger on why I wanted to help people. I just know it felt good.
Yeah.
It was like a feel good kind of thing. And after we started getting the feedback and things like that started happening for us, I think it flipped a switch. Like, I go to bed without having the same woes that I used to have, and felt like I didn't feel alone anymore, in my space. So I started going after it. We started going after it, and that's how things really went about for us.
I think that's so amazing to hear. And I think, like, in this time, especially, the loneliness that we experience as a people can be debilitating.
Right. But I feel like there was a hard space in trying to be vulnerable as a guy, especially a Black guy. I feel like I can be that today through community. So community has helped me see the world differently, as almost if I had put on a set of glasses and I've never even knew I needed them.
Wow.
So I love what's happening today, and honestly, I go to bed every day just smiling at the fact that it's capable.
The last question I have for you is, in a world that often feels challenging and overwhelming and noisy, Black people have continued to create, lead, and shape culture in ways that are just undeniable.
Right.
How are you using your voice, your work, or your space to shift culture forward? What do you think you found in your space and your voice in this moment?
My people don't give all vegetable plates a chance. They don't really give veganism a chance. They don't give plant-based a chance. And my hope, through understanding some of our complications, heart complications and things in that nature, how we could help ourselves, is, in a sense, if I can make this cool enough, in a sense, for my people to see that, you could still be strong, you could still have great skin, still have long hair. If I could show them through example that this is possible, and they'll gather around, and we'll all find a home together.
There's so much beauty in what you said. And I often think about, like, our ancestors who literally toiled the ground,
Right.
planting and making sure that the food was healthy for us, and know so much about soil and know so much about creating the things that would end up being on our plates and
Yes.
sustaining us through this time. I'm so grateful that we got a chance to connect with you. And how can we support you?
Yes.
Like, is there anything you want our audience to know about what you got going on?
I appreciate your support, but it's more important to me that you find that happiness, and I'm just there to help you along the way.
Thank you, Kroger, for making this conversation happen. Discover high-quality groceries and low prices in every aisle at Kroger.com. Thank you to the Nard Dog for reminding us that the kitchen is where creativity, culture, and care come together, even if it's just one simple plant-based plate at a time. And y'all, that's a wrap on season 5 of More Than That. This season, we explore what it means to truly pour into each other through new technology that opens doors, chosen family that keeps us steady, and the connections that remind us we're never alone. And it's in the simple moments too, like cooking a good meal and designing what brings you joy, where we find the care that sustains our mind, body, and spirit through it all. To our guests who shared their incredible insight, and to our listeners, old and new, thank you so much for rocking with us through another season. And to our incredible team, your vision makes this show what it is. It's all just another amazing reminder that we're powerful alone, but unstoppable together. Make sure to tell us what you loved the most about this season. And as always, catch up on all episodes wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure to follow us on all socials and subscribe to our YouTube at More Than That Show. Until next season, I'm Gia Peppers. Take care.